Chapter 51. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Immediately, with the Moonlight as the center, all the pirates within a radius of 300 meters were shaken violently, and then fell to the ground with a plop, or fainted, or foamed at the mouth, or fainted to death, etc. None of them could stand still. Even the pirate leader knelt down on the ground, limp and unable to move at all, looking at the Moonlight, unable to speak. The domineering color of LV2 has tripled its range, and its power is even more terrifying. Colonel, it is here that someone found the trace of the pirate. At this moment, a female voice suddenly sounded, and then a female swordsman wearing glasses suddenly appeared and shouted outside. Dashiki? Then the person who came here is Smoker the White Hunter. Looking at the woman in front of her, Yueguang's heart moved, and she disappeared into the street in an instant. Then a man on a motorcycle arrived, and then there was a lot of navy. Huh? What happened? Was it resolved? Dashiki looked at the pirates who were all lying on the ground in surprise, and said in surprise. Are you late? Who did it? Smoker also looked at the scene in front of him in surprise. From the moment we received the information to now, we have been rushing here non-stop. It took 10 minutes before and after. Sir Colonel and Master Dashiki are faster. Who is it that has the ability to kill this group of pirates in less than 10 minutes? These guys are all very powerful pirates. They didn't have any wounds on their bodies. It didn't look like they had been through a fierce fight. Instead, they seemed to have been knocked down in an instant. It's too exaggerated for someone to knock down so many people in an instant. After the navy arrived, someone immediately stepped forward to check, and after reaching a conclusion, all the navy couldn't help but be surprised. Because there is no wound on these people, and there is no trace of fighting at the scene, that is to say, these pirates were all knocked down by someone in an instant. It's so strange. Was it done by someone with a devil fruit ability? But unless it's someone with a natural ability like your lord, it's impossible to be so untraceable. Colonel Smoker, Dashiki was surprised and looked at all this in disbelief. This scene was beyond her comprehension. The overlord is domineering. Smoker took a deep breath and exhaled circles of smoke. He is a colonel after all, and he is entitled to know some high-level information. The scene in front of him can only be explained by this. Otherwise, even if it is a devil fruit ability user of the natural department, it will leave traces. He is himself, so he understands. Overlord looked domineering. What is this? Hearing this, everyone was puzzled. This is the first time they heard this term. This is a brand new power, also known as the qualification of the king. Smoker paused every word, said. King's qualifications? Dashiki was puzzled. What do you mean? The navies around were also puzzled. This is the power that can only be found in the Great Route. I also saw it in the top secret documents. People with this power can intimidate, or even feint their opponents without making a move. It's just that this power is innate. Not everyone has it. If there is only one person with this power in a million people, Smoker carefully recalled the contents of the document and said solemnly. What? Out of a million people, only one person can have it. Dashiki was shocked. What does this represent? This is simply the chosen one. Hiss, you can make your opponent faint, dizzy, and lose combat power without making a move. This kind of power is too terrifying. The aptitude of a king means having the potential to become a king, and there is only one person in a million. How can there be such a person in this world? If this kind of person makes a move, it would be too scary. All the navy couldn't help but gasped, shocked again and again. No matter what, such a big man has come to Rogue Town. I don't know whether it's an enemy or a friend. Moreover, the Straw Hats have already arrived, plus the other pirates who have come ashore. We can't deal with it. Dashiki, immediately notify the headquarters and send some more people. Others, follow me. Smoker shook his head, his eyes were cold, and he ordered. Yes. After receiving the order, the navy began to act. Has it been discovered? If so, it's not good. Somewhere on the roof, Moonlight frowned upon hearing this. Smoker's strength is still very strong. If Luffy and the others meet, they may be in danger. I don't know if they have finished their work now. Otherwise, it will be dangerous if the naval reinforcements arrive and form an encirclement circle. Seeing the color is domineering, thinking of this, Moonlight used his knowledge and arrogance to sense Luffy's actions. The LV4 level of domineering knowledge already has the ability to actively perceive. Although it won't cover the entire island like Raleigh, half a town is not a problem. Suddenly, an invisible air current, centered on the Moonlight, moved towards all directions and enveloped it. In Moonlight's mind, pictures appeared in the form of breath. Rog Town is just a small town, not big, and they were quickly found. Somewhere on the East Street, Usopp met a pirate hunter, Duddy, and the two were dueling. Sauron came to a weapon shop and was picking out new weapons. On the other hand, Sanji met a beautiful chef. Sanji, who was attracted by her beauty, was fighting with her for some rare ingredients. As for Luffy, he came to the execution platform in the center of the town and climbed up. On the other side, Barque, Kabaji, Alrita, and other members of the Barque pirates were heading towards the execution platform. The goal was to take revenge and kill Luffy. Luffy is in danger. Moonlight's heart moved, and he went straight to the center of the town without even thinking about it. At this time, on the execution platform in the center of the town, where the former pirate King Roger was executed, a man wearing a straw hat climbed up. It was Luffy. He looked forward to coming to the highest point, overlooking the people below. Standing in Roger's position, an unprecedented feeling rippling in his heart. The two pirate kings are standing together. Luffy couldn't help laughing, but at this time, Luffy's actions attracted the attention of everyone around, and they immediately surrounded him. Look, someone is on the execution platform. That is the place where the former pirate King Roger was executed. That man in the straw hat, what is he going to do? Is he a pirate too? This place is closely monitored by the Navy. It's been a long time since anyone went up to the execution platform. Who is he? All the people around were surprised. Hi everyone, my name is Luffy, and my dream is to become the One Piece. Seeing this, Luffy greeted with a smile. However, just as he finished speaking, a cold voice, accompanied by a cold knife, was suddenly placed on his neck. Hey, Straw Hat Kid, I finally found you. Chapter 52. You just die gorgeously like this. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hearing this voice, Luffy couldn't help turning his head, and immediately cried out in surprise. It's you, Barque the Clown. The person in front of him is Barque the Clown, and Kabaji, Alrita and other members of the Barque pirates around him. After preparing for a long time, they finally found Luffy. When Luffy was wandering in this feeling of one piece, he used his ability to split apart to fly up silently and control Luffy. Luffy is rubber, and the nemesis is a sword. At this time, Barque put a sharp blade against Luffy and sneered. That's right, it's me, Smelly Rubber, I'm going to avenge my revenge last time. Barque grumbled. His majestic crew of One Piece, after gaining the ability to split the fruit into pieces, was invincible across the East China Sea, and was about to advance towards the Great Route, but unexpectedly fell into the hands of Luffy. This is his great shame and humiliation, and now he must avenge it. And me, Smelly Rubber, I want to avenge myself today. Kabaji sneered. As a senior cadre of the Barque pirates, he was invincible, and he was defeated by Sauron. Now he wants to avenge himself and get back his position. Me too, dare to ride such a ruthless hand on my love, I will not spare you. Machi also said coldly. His beast tamer niche was beaten too badly by Luffy. As a beast tamer, he wants revenge. And me. Straw Hat Boy, Luffy. Alrita looked at Luffy and smiled. Who are you? Luffy looked at Alrita blankly. It is understandable that Barque seeks revenge on him. Who is this beautiful woman? Do I have any revenge against her? Bastard, you are the only man who has touched my body in these years, and you don't remember it. It's unforgivable. Hearing what Luffy said, Alrita was furious. After all, she is also the leader of the pirates who run rampant in the East China Sea. Wherever she goes, she is not indomitable. When has she been so underestimated? And Luffy beat her, and even forgot about her. This is even more insulting than shameful humiliation. Okay, Luffy looked dazed, still unable to remember. Kill him, Alrita was furious, since you can't remember, go to hell. Hey, stinky rubber, don't you dream of being the Pirate King? Well, so many people are watching you now. This scene is exactly the same as when Roger was executed. Then you and Roger will die together. Even though you are invincible with rubber, the blade in my hand is as sharp as iron. Watch me chop off your head with one sword. I think this way of dying is gorgeous, Bucky sneered, raised the sharp blade in his hand, and slashed at Luffy, about to kill Luffy. Okay, at this time, Smoker turned into a man of smoke and rushed to the central square, and then came to the high-rise building. Looking at this scene, he couldn't help being surprised. He had met with Luffy a few times, but he never thought that this guy was the Straw Hat Boy, a 3,000 million Bailey bounty criminal, and now, he was about to be killed. Who is that kid? He said he wants to be the Pirate King. I don't know, I haven't seen it. The last Pirate King is Roger. Who is he? He's wearing a straw hat. The one holding the knife is the clown Bucky, the captain of the Bucky Pirates. I didn't expect him to appear in Rogue Town, and he was so high profile. Are the pirates already so arrogant in this town? And the people around couldn't help being surprised after seeing this scene. Rogue Town has seldom had such a commotion, it has always been peaceful. Today is unprecedented. More and more people were attracted by the movement here, and at the same time, the news here quickly spread throughout the town. A boy wearing a straw hat is about to be executed by another group of pirates on the execution platform. On West Street, after Sanji defeated the beautiful chef and got the rare ingredients, he walked to the central square of the town contentedly. They made an appointment, gathered there, and then returned to the ship. However, he didn't go far when he heard the news that the Straw Hat Boy had been executed, and his heart moved immediately. This guy, can't be Luffy. Thinking of this, he hurriedly ran towards the avenue in the middle of the town. No, Luffy is in danger. Someone wants to kill Luffy. This kid is in trouble again. Oops, hurry up, At the same time, Usopp, Zoro, and Nami also received the news one after another, and hurriedly ran towards the avenue in the center of the square. When they ran to the square, they saw the clown Bucky on the 10-meter-high execution platform, holding a big knife and slashing at Luffy. Straw Hat Boy, just die in full view in front of everyone. Bucky laughed wildly, mercilessly. Luffy, seeing this, the four of them hurriedly ran towards the execution platform like crazy. That was their captain, how could he just die like this? He also wants to take them to the Great Sea Route, draw charts all over the world, find the all blue that all chefs yearn for, and become a brave sea warrior. The dream has just set sail, how can this be the end? To kill. Have you started? This kid wearing a straw hat actually received the same treatment as when Roger, the Pirate King, died. It must be considered a well-deserved death. That's it. Everyone around, seeing this scene, sighed and shook their heads, and more people, it doesn't matter, many people die every day at sea. Life and death are normal. In this town, the difference is that this man actually died on the execution platform. Straw Hat Boy, die. Bucky growled, knife light flickered. Nami, Moonlight, Usopp, Sanji, Zoro, I'm going to die. Luffy struggled for a while, and seemed to find it was useless, as if he had let go of some kind of burden. He no longer struggled, but looked up at the people below, and smiled at Yuegwang and the others. He actually laughed. Smoker couldn't help being shocked, he has seen many lives and deaths, and it was the first time he saw a person who smiled in the face of life and death. He could see that he smiled with peace of mind, as if he had died a worthy death. Luffy, Sauron and the others roared wildly with their eyes tearing apart. It's hopeless, it's doomed. I can still laugh when I'm dead, I really don't know what this person thinks. Cut. Everyone around shook their heads one after another, while some timid ones turned their heads and couldn't bear to look directly. At this time, in the sky, at some point, a dark cloud floated over, thunder bursts, and a bolt of lightning seemed to descend. However, suddenly a crescent-like sword energy slashed from the crowd along the ground. The sword chi was surging, terrifying and unstoppable, and he slashed on the execution platform with one sword. Crack! That the execution platform was cut to pieces immediately, and the people on it all fell down one after another. Chapter 53 White Hunter Smoker. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What happened? What happened? Okay, that everyone's eyes widened, looking at this scene in disbelief. The execution platform fell. Moonlight, you're here. Luffy jumped down from the air, picked up the straw hat that fell to the ground with the wind, looked at the Moonlight slowly appearing from the crowd, and said in surprise. This guy, it's really timely. Sauron heaved a sigh of relief and watched the Moonlight appear. It scared me to death. I thought our captain was going to end like this. Usopp also breathed a sigh of relief. Just now he really thought that Luffy was going to die. This guy always appears at the most timely time. Not bad. Sanji put the ingredients aside, lit a cigarette, took a deep breath, and nodded. Moonlight. Nami is delighted. Did he do it? Is he also a member of the Straw Hats? Amazing. Seeing the Moonlight appearing, everyone around couldn't help being amazed. They finally knew what was going on. It was this swordsman named Moonlight who cut off the execution platform. This sword skill is too terrifying. Damn it, it's this guy. How dare you spoil my good deed and kill him? Bastard rubber, I will never let you go. But at this moment, the clown Barque and others fell from the sky, and after standing still, they saw the Moonlight at a glance, and shouted angrily. Barque and Alrita shrank their pupils even more. Without him, the impression of the Moonlight on them was too deep. This powerful man broke their affairs time and time again. Immediately shouting angrily, all the crew members of Barque Pirates rushed towards Yuegwang and the others. They want to avenge this arrow here. All of a sudden, there was chaos on the square. No, the Navy is here. Run, the lead is White Hunter Smoker. The nasty Navy is trying to catch us all. However, at this time, a large number of navies appeared on the square. The incident here had already attracted their attention, but because there were too many navies gathered in the square, they did not act rashly, but secretly gathered a large number of people to catch them all. The square, which was already in chaos, became even more chaotic after the Navy stepped in. No, it's the Navy. Seeing this, Nami and Usopp couldn't help but change their expressions. Our goal has been achieved. In this case, we will leave first before the Navy grows more and more. Sanji said. Okay, not everyone nodded, no one had an opinion. However, just when everyone was about to leave, a puff of smoke suddenly appeared, revealing a man wearing a white cloak of justice with a cigarette in his mouth, with a 10-handed steel fork on his back, blocking in front of Luffy and the others, looking at Luffy and the others coldly. It was Smoker. He has been staring at Luffy for a long time, during which time the two even fought against each other. The bounties of 3,000 million and 5,000 million, the Straw Hat Pirates, don't want to leave here today. Smokey said coldly. No, it's this guy, he's very powerful. Everyone back off, I'll deal with him. Seeing this, Luffy blocked his hand and reached forward. A great person has come, and it's still a captain of the Navy. Sauron smiled, but his eyes fell on Siki. This guy is exactly the same as that guy. He couldn't take his eyes off her. No, Barque the clown is rushing over. However, at this moment, Usopp shouted hastily. It was Barque who broke through the naval defenses and led the crowd to hunt him down. No matter what, they want to keep Luffy here. There was Smoker in the front, and Barque the clown in the back, and everyone was in danger. At this moment, Yuegwang stretched out his hand and said to everyone indifferently. Luffy, take everyone with you and leave quickly. Leave this to me. We will meet at sea in 10 minutes. Moonlight said indifferently, with a firm expression that could not be questioned. Moonlight, please. Seeing Moonlight speaking, Luffy nodded, full of trust. Smoker is very powerful, he can't beat him, and the current situation is really chaotic. If anyone can control the situation in front of him, only Moonlight, no longer hesitates, and leads everyone, rushing towards the direction Smoker blocked. Seeing this, Sauron and the others also nodded one after another. They had seen the strength of Moonlight, so they trusted it very much. At that moment, a group of people rushed towards Smoker, regardless of whether Smoker was covered in smoke and ready to shoot, they believed in the Moonlight. When I don't exist, Smoker sneered, and a strong smoke flew out of his body, entangled towards Luffy and the others. However, just as the smoke flew up, a figure suddenly appeared. Boom! The smoke dissipated in an instant, Smoker fell to the ground, and Moonlight stepped on him. Lord Smoky, seeing such a startling change, Dasiki couldn't help screaming. What's going on? My lord is the smoke man of the smoke fruit, how could someone attack his entity and step on him? Just kidding. Is he also a devil fruit user? The navies all around also looked at the Moonlight in surprise. Moonlight, Luffy and the others were both surprised and delighted. They didn't expect the majestic navy captain to be so vulnerable, so they felt relieved at the moment. Luffy led everyone and ran towards the port. Seeing this, no one in the navy dared to stop him. Asshole, why is that? Smoker couldn't help roaring, constantly using smoke, struggling violently, but under Moonlight's feet, it seemed like there was a heavy burden. No matter how hard he struggled, it was useless. Smoker couldn't help being furious. It's domineering. Bucky, who came after him, couldn't help being surprised when he saw this scene. Devil fruit users are very powerful, especially this kind of natural ones. They can't grasp the entity at all, and the only thing that can hurt them is domineering. But this kind of thing actually exists in the East China Sea. Bucky was taken aback. Domineering, Alrita and the others also said in surprise. Bucky's been on Roger's boat, so he's well informed, but nobody knows about them. The Overlord is domineering. At the same time when they were puzzled, Smoker ordered Dasiki and others to leave him alone and track him down. Moonlight smiled coldly, pupils shrink. Domineering and domineering, suddenly come out. Immediately, a light blue evil spirit centered on him, and spread out in all directions. Within a radius of 300 meters, except for Bucky, Smoker, and Dasiki, all the people who were shrouded in the evil spirit suddenly stood in place as if they had acupuncture points, unable to move. The chaotic roar stopped abruptly, and the whole square was dead silent. Then everyone's pupils widened, and they fell to the ground with a plop, or fainted, or foamed at the mouth, or their brains went blank, etc. All of them fell to the ground. In a blink of an eye, all the navy and pirates on the square, adding up to at least 1,000 people, were emptied at once. Chapter 54 Naval Encirclement, Locking Hengjiang. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It turned out to be you, the one who got rid of those pirates turned out to be you. Dasiki's body trembled, looking at the scene around her. She couldn't help trembling, under the domineering aura of the Moonlight. Although she could barely stand, she was at the end of her strength, facing the Moonlight. Her body could not arouse the slightest fighting spirit. Hateful, Smoker roared, but it was useless at all. No matter how he used his abilities, he was trampled under the feet of Moonlight, unable to move. The difference in strength between the two is really too big. How can it be possible to have such a domineering aura? In the East China Sea, there is actually a guy with this kind of power. Bucky's eyes widened, full of shock. This is the chosen one who only comes out of 1,000,000 people. Even on Roger's ship, there are only a handful of people with such qualifications. Now Donghai, the weakest of the 4 seas, has such a character appear. Okay, Mr. Colonel, that's it for now. If you plan to continue chasing, then I'm not polite. After watching Luffy and the others leave Rog Town and head straight for the sea, Moonlight let go of Smoker, glanced around, and said calmly. After speaking, he straightened his body and left directly. He is so fast that no one can catch him, let alone chase him. What's more, at this moment, who dares to chase him? Hateful. Smoker stood up and looked at the people who fell to the ground, feeling terrified. The power just now is really too strong. It was so strong that he didn't even have time to react, and he was trampled under his feet, let alone resist. In front of that man, he was just a joke. Colonel Smoker, Dasiki yelled, but at this moment she couldn't hold on any longer, fell to the ground with a plop, and passed out. With her strength, being able to persevere until now is already commendable. Looking at the people who fell to the ground, Smoker smoked a cigarette, took a long breath of smoke, sat on the ground decadently, and gave up chasing, not even Bucky the Clown. He has always had his own justice in his heart, but when the gap in strength was too great and justice was torn to pieces by power, he found decadently that he was still far behind. Luffy, is Moonlight okay? At this time, Luffy and the others ran towards the direction of the Mary. Along the way, Usopp glanced back at the direction of the square and said worriedly, after all, apart from the ability user Smoker, there are so many other enemies. Moonlight must be at least 1 versus 100, is there really no problem? That's right, Luffy, it's not good for us to leave Moonlight there alone. Nami also said, Moonlight is extremely strong, 1 versus 1, she has confidence in Moonlight, but this situation is different, there are too many people. You underestimated him too much. It's not a problem at all to hand those people over to him. Didn't you see any Navy captains, were they all killed by the Moonlight? Sauron curled his lips, but he had an expression that he didn't need to worry at all, he has absolute confidence in Moonlight, after all, Moonlight is a man who has never lost against the world's #1 swordsman, Hawkeye, will such a man be defeated? Yes, instead of worrying about that guy, we should worry about ourselves. We are not out of danger now. Sanji looked at the sea and frowned. At this time, at least 20 large ships appeared on the sea, and each ship had cannons ready, and the leaders are 3 colonels no less than Smoker. With a menacing momentum, he intercepted them with the formation of iron chains across the river, like a prehistoric monster. Immediately, the entire island where Rog Town is located was completely blocked. They received an emergency from Smoker that a large number of pirates gathered in Rog Town, so they sent a large number of navy to meet Smoker, trying to catch all the pirates. Ah, so many navies, it's over, we are surrounded, Usopp screamed first. Come so fast, Sauron pouted. Cut, Sanji sneered, the two quickly ran towards the Mary, although the navy in front of him is powerful, it seems that there are no masters to pay attention to, so there is nothing to worry about. Quick, get on board, Luffy, you are in the front, resist the enemy, Usopp, take the helm, Sanji, go sail, Zoro, the surroundings will be handed over to you. Even if there is an iron wall in front of it, with this navigator around, it will not be a problem at all. However, it was Nami who was faster, she took the first step, came to the melee, looked at a certain dark cloud in the sky, and said confidently. Nami, do we still have a chance? Usopp couldn't help but looked at Nami in surprise. In this situation, in his opinion, they were finished, however, the speed of his subordinates was not slow, he steered the helm according to his words, and turned the course. There is no problem at all, Ms. Nami, who is full of confidence, is so perfect. Sanji's eyes glowed red, and he looked at Nami adoringly, he was completely conquered. Sauron and Luffy kept an eye on their surroundings to prevent any danger that might occur at any time. Immediately, with everyone's cooperation, the Mary started to move. Found the straw hats. At the same time, everyone in the navy also found Luffy and the others, and couldn't help shouting. The wanted criminals with rewards of 3,000 million and 5,000 million are all on this ship. These people are extremely vicious. They are ready to attack and kill the straw hats to make an example of them. Prepare for bombardment. According to the usual practice, first bombard them and don't kill them if they surrender, otherwise they will be killed. Point 3 colonels, communicate with each other and give orders. No matter what kind of pirates they face, they will bombard them as a warning to show the justice and benevolence of the navy. If they surrender, they will not kill them, otherwise, they will shoot them. Boom boom boom, all of a sudden, at least 10 cannons fired in unison, and the iron bullets pierced through tens of meters of sky, and slammed around the melee. The waves were monstrous and rough, and the melee was suddenly shaken and couldn't keep its balance on the sea. So strong firepower, worthy of the navy, Sanji couldn't help being surprised. Luffy, protect the ship, Usopp, steer 30 degrees to left, get rid of them, Nami commanded calmly. It is good, Luffy nodded, looking serious. With such a mighty shelling, the Mary could not stand a few rounds, and Usopp immediately began to turn around, and the Mary started to move along the coastline, and with the help of the shock wave brought about by this shelling, the Melee rushed out like a sharp arrow. Immediately they were out of range of the Navy's shelling. "Nami, it's really you." Usopp couldn't help but raise his thumb. "Miss Nami, you are amazing." Sanji admired Tao even more. "Okay, let's go all out and get rid of them." Luffy suddenly laughed, pointed to the front, and shouted loudly. "Leave it to me, I'm the best navigator." Nami raised her thumbs up immediately. "Damn it, they escaped by taking advantage of the sea current caused by our bombardment. They have a great navigator on board." In the Navy, a colonel in white clothes couldn't help saying bitterly when he saw this scene. "Don't worry, they won't be able to escape. It's not that we are not unprepared to sweep across the sea with this formation. Yes, they are too naive, mere pirates, think they can escape our blockade by taking advantage of the current, they are too underestimating." Chapter 55 The Man Running on the Sea. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the Navy, the three colonels couldn't help being secretly surprised when they saw the scene where Luffy and the others manipulated the Mary to escape. Using the waves caused by shelling as a driving force to make the ship move rapidly is not an easy task. This requires extremely complex and proficient navigation, as well as extremely delicate calculations of timing and current direction. The Straw Hats actually have such a powerful navigator. But even though they were allowed to escape, it didn't matter. How could it be so simple for their entire army to attack? "No, there is trouble." At this time, on the Melee, Nami looked into the distance through the binoculars, and suddenly saw something, and couldn't help frowning. "What happened?" "Oops. It's over." After the heading stabilized, upon hearing this, Usopp also quickly used the magnifying glass he bought to look at the sea area, and suddenly he was shocked, as if he saw something terrifying, and said in shock. Could it be that they planned it from the beginning, to surround us, so as to catch a turtle in the urn? "What's the matter?" Sanji also looked over, but without a telescope and a magnifying glass, with normal eyesight, he couldn't see anything except the boundless blue sea. "It's the Navy, we're surrounded." With sharp eyes, Luffy pointed to the distance they were heading, and saw more than 20 large ships on the sea, forming an iron chain across the river, intercepting them, just like the wave of Navy they encountered before. At this time they were caught in the middle one after the other. They will face shelling from at least 40 cannons in an instant. Damn it, the Navy. Has it already been calculated to sink us in this way? Sanji couldn't help but his face darkened. This is really not good. It seems that today is not going to end well. Sauron bared his teeth, tied up his turban suddenly, and grabbed the newly acquired Yukiso and Sandai Gue II in his hands, with Hidaoichi in his mouth, and the three swords gathered together. A look of concentration and alertness, ready to do a big fight. Hey, Sauron, you are not going to fight them hard. Seeing Sauron's posture, Usopp couldn't help feeling a bad feeling in his heart. Facing a navy with such a lineup, normal people should run away quickly. Exactly. Luffy was gearing up, answered Usopp's question, looked at the navy that was approaching and shrinking in space, and sneered, a posture of eager to try and do a big job. Right on my mind. Sanji lit a cigarette, his eyes turned cold, he looked at the surrounding navy, and said in a deep voice. Up to now, that's the only way to go. The brave man wins when we meet on a narrow road, and I will control the boat, but don't let them hit the boat, otherwise we really can't escape. Nami also looked dignified, and explained to Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji. Hey, are you crazy? Usopp's eyes widened, and he looked at them with disbelief. Brother, are you all lunatics? You still work hard after doing this. What do you think of the navy? Do not worry. The three nodded, looking serious. Hey, Nami, why are you crazy with them? There are more than 3,000 people in total. Usopp quickly persuaded Nami. Usopp, I leave the helm to you. Nami smiled brightly. Okay, let's fight. Seeing this, Usopp felt helpless, knowing that there was nothing he could do. Looking at the densely packed navy, he couldn't help but bite the bullet and complied. So far, that's all he has. It seems that they are not ready to surrender. On the Navy ship, the three major colonels communicated with each other, and finally issued a unified opinion, communicated with each other, and then ordered. Bombard them together and sink them. Immediately, all the cannons on the large naval ships aimed at the Golden Mary, and following an order, at least 40 shells flew over in an instant. This time, the target was directly locked on the Golden Mary, and it came over. Boom boom boom, .40 cannons blasted together, and 40 shells roared through the sky in an instant. The shells were extremely fast and powerful. It bombarded the Mary with precision, although Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji responded in a timely manner and shot immediately. There were too many shells. No matter how strong the three of them were, they couldn't resist the shells roaring from all directions in an instant. The so-called two fists are hard to beat four hands, not to mention that what is bombarding them at this time is a shell that is more violent than four hands. The Navy is invincible at sea, suppressing pirates. What is it based on? Isn't it the bombardment? Which pirate can have a Navy lineup? Although Nami used the current to steer the Mary to dodge, many shells still hit the hull. The shells were so powerful that the hull of the ship was immediately riddled with holes. Boom boom boom. Not only that, the surrounding sea area also surged violently, waves roared, the current rushed, and a vortex with a radius of tens of meters suddenly formed. Exuding endless suction, pulling, absorbing everything around. Moreover, the bombardment came one after another, giving them no time to breathe. The three of Luffy shot with all their strength, but they were overwhelmed. There are too many people in the Navy, and dozens of cannons are firing together, which is too terrifying. There were naval attacks before and after, and now they were attacked by the ocean current vortex, and they fell into a desperate situation all of a sudden. Damn it, isn't it an opponent at all? Usopp closed his eyes in despair. No, there are too many shells, and there is no way to hide. Sanji frowned, but there was nothing he could do. Luffy, these cannonballs are endless, and we can't be passive like this. We must take the initiative. Zoro looked at Luffy. Okay, I'm going to fly them. Luffy nodded, raised his arm, and was about to extend his arm, going deep alone. Wait a minute, Luffy. After you blow them all away, the Mary is basically scrapped. If you hold on for a while, there will be a storm soon. Nami looked at the dark clouds floating in the sky, and shouted hastily. Okay. Luffy squatted down immediately, looked at Nami, nodded, and showed trusting eyes. It is good. Rubber balloon. According to what Nami said, stay on the boat, no longer fight back, but take a breath. The body is like a blown balloon, violently inflated, suddenly turned into a big fat man. Passive defense, bounce off the oncoming bombardment. Is that so? Sanji and Zoro also nodded. Since Nami said it, it will definitely happen, so I will be ready and defend desperately. Hey, this. Usopp had no choice but to bite the bullet and go on. Now I just hope that everyone can hold on for a while, and this cloud, your speed should be faster, otherwise we may really have to confess here. Nami looked at the increasingly dense dark clouds in the sky, and prayed. Do you want to resist to the end? That being the case, increase the frequency of shelling and smash their ships. At sea, pirates without ships are nothing to fear. On the large Navy ship, the three major colonels saw this scene, smiled coldly, gave orders, and immediately bombarded them more violently. This frequency is twice as fast as before. Not good, the speed of the Navy is faster. Miscalculation, we still underestimated them. Damn it, Nami. Seeing this, the people who were desperately defending against the shelling couldn't help saying badly. Usopp looked at Nami quickly. However, at this time, Nami stared at the port of Rog Town in a daze. She was shocked to see that a person jumped down from the port and ran towards the Navy and ran rapidly on the sea. Chapter 56. That's Moonlight. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At this time, at the port of Rog Town, all pirates ushered in the end, watching the large naval ships approaching one after another. A large number of marines came ashore and wiped out all the pirates with a sweeping momentum. Even the famous Barque pirates in the East China Sea were caught. All the pirates were desperate, and some decisively gave up resistance. In this sea, the only one who can truly enjoy the sea and be invincible is the navy. No matter how powerful the pirate is, facing the pressure of the navy, it will only end in a dead end. Soon the navy blocked all ports. At this time, in Donggang port, a boy in black with a sword in his hand walked towards the sea. He didn't attract attention at first, until the boy in black shot a navy into the air, and the surrounding navy immediately took action. Stop, you're surrounded. Pirates. You really don't cry when you see the coffin. You dare to resist even in such a situation. If that's the case, let's kill him. These are notorious villains with bloody hands, kill them. Immediately, at least dozens of marines, armed with rifles, surrounded him, pointing their guns at the boy in black, ready to shoot him. However, the black-clothed boy's eyes turned sideways, and suddenly a light blue evil spirit erupted from the boy's body. Take this as the center and spread it out in all directions. Within 300 meters around, all the marines suddenly stiffened, and then fell to the ground with a thump, or foamed at the mouth, or fell to the ground, or passed out. In just a short moment, no one could stand within 300 meters of the boy in black. The boy continued to walk towards the shore. What is that? What happened? What happened? This movement instantly attracted the attention of the people around, and they couldn't help but look over, and they were taken aback for a moment. It's him, the swordsman of the Straw Hat crew, Vice Captain Moonlight. At this time, Barque, who was arrested, also looked over. His eyes swept over the boy in black, and he shouted. What, it's the Straw Hats. Swordsman. It's so powerful. It took down so many navies at once. How did he do it? I've also heard of the Straw Hats. They are a pirate group that rose recently and defeated Click and Aaron pirates. They are very powerful. Straw Hat Luffy has even been offered a bounty by the world. It is said that the bounty has reached 3,000 million Baileys. I have seen this bounty order. I've seen it too, but the bounty for the deputy captain, Moonlight, is even higher, 5,000 million Baileys. Is that him? That when Barque shouted, many people reacted. The reward order of the Straw Hats has spread all over the world. Many people know that there is such a powerful pirate group in the East China Sea, but they didn't expect to see them here. Colonel, it's not good. I found the deputy captain of the Straw Hats, Moonlight, and offered a reward of 5,000 million Baileys. This person is extremely dangerous, and our people are not opponents. Please help. At the same time, the Navy also took action. A few sailors hurriedly reported to their superiors. Well, is the Straw Hat gang or the vice captain? It's a big fish. It seems that today is a bumper harvest. Immediately send more helpers to keep this person. He has a higher bounty than their captain, a big pirate with a reward of 5,000 million. Hearing this, the garrison colonel's eyes lit up immediately, and he immediately issued an order. If such a big pirate can be caught here, then his future will definitely be singing all the way. It's not good, Colonel, that Moonlight, he. However, just as he finished speaking, and was about to send more people to take down the Moonlight in one go, another sailor suddenly ran in, shouting with a shocked expression. What's the matter, such a fuss? Seeing this, the colonel was immediately dissatisfied. Suddenly, all the sailors outside the ship exclaimed in unison. Look, what is that? Someone wants to jump into the sea. Who is so hard to think about the vast sea? Even pirates, it is impossible to survive in the sea. Okay. Following the sound, the colonel came to the deck, and immediately saw a scene that he will never forget. Hey, what is he doing? Can't think about it, he actually jumped into the sea. What's the situation? Why did he jump into the sea? Wait, what is he going to do? At the same time, Barque and the other pirates looked at Moonlight in shock. They didn't expect him to be the Straw Hat gang, the famous deputy captain Moonlight, and the big pirate whose bounty surpassed the captain's. Everyone looked over in surprise, almost everyone's eyes were on him. But at this time, Moonlight, after disposing of the sailors blocking the way with his domineering aura, came to the coast step by step, and under the eyes of everyone screaming, stunned and disbelieving, he jumped towards the sea and jumped down. He jumped into the sea. However, before everyone could scream in alarm, Moonlight suddenly raised the Kusanagi sword in his hand, and fixed his eyes on the melee, which was 100 meters away. Dragon breaks the sky. Shoot! Immediately, the swords of others merged into one, turning into a phantom, moving quickly on the sea. His speed was extremely fast, and he moved towards the sea continuously when the human sword was combined. Because the speed was too fast, phantoms were left on the sea, and as he exerted all his strength, the sword energy rubbed against the air, and the roaring sound of echoed on the sea. Ride the wind and waves, and move forward at extreme speed. In an instant, everyone saw a huge blue mark, riding the wind and waves, running towards the melee, which was, meters away. Not only did he jump directly to survive, but he also moved in the sea. Barque couldn't help but gasped. Even with his knowledge, he couldn't help being shocked at this moment. On Roger's boat, he had seen many strong men with incredible strength, but this was the first time for someone like Moonlight. Is he still human? Everyone else, including the Navy, looked at each other in blank dismay, unable to believe what they saw. There are actually people who can move on the sea, and the speed is extremely fast. Who would believe this kind of thing if they hadn't seen it with their own eyes? Colonel, are we still chasing him? At this time, the sailor who reported to the colonel swallowed deeply and asked. The captain of the Navy stared at the Moonlight moving on the sea, and did not speak for a long time. Do you want to chase? He kept asking himself. Is that, Moonlight? At this time, Luffy and the others noticed Nami's abnormality, and couldn't help but follow Nami's gaze, and immediately saw a figure jumping down from the port of Rogue Town, moving quickly on the sea. Under the magnification, Usopp immediately saw the true face of this figure, and he couldn't help opening his mouth wide enough to stuff a duck egg, and said in shock. What? Luffy and the others suddenly shook their bodies and looked at the sea in disbelief. Is that Moonlight? Although they knew that the Moonlight was very strong, it was too exaggerated to be so strong. Chapter 57 Tempest. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sanji took a few deep puffs of cigarettes, trying to suppress the shock in his heart. Sauron's hand holding the sword tightened even more. At this moment, the bombardment was still going on, and he shot faster and desperately. Moonlight, I really belong to you. Luffy yelled in surprise, towards the moving Moonlight on the sea, shouted loudly. Moonlight, get rid of them. Got it, Captain. The faint voice of the Moonlight came back from the sea immediately, then I saw him and rushed directly towards the large Navy ship. Is that a person? At this time, the three major Navy colonels also noticed the situation at sea. They couldn't help but picked up the binoculars, looked at the Moonlight moving towards them, and said in shock. That is, at this time, all the sailors also saw the Moonlight running over the sea, and they couldn't help opening their mouths, dumbstruck, and the shock was unimaginable. Even the weapons in his hands fell off without even realizing it. Just relying on the body, running fast on the sea surface, is this human? Buzz. At this moment, the Moonlight had already set foot on the sea, and the raptor Duan Kong Zhan was urged to the extreme, and the speed was extremely fast. When he came to the nearby naval ship, he did not board the ship, and directly displayed his domineering arrogance. Now that there is no restraint, he can finally use it unscrupulously. All of a sudden, waves of light blue evil energy centered on his body, and within a radius of 300 meters, all the sailors fell to the ground, fainted, foamed at the mouth, etc., and all fell to the ground one by one, losing their fighting power. The Moonlight kept moving, and in just a short moment, all the navy that was besieging the melee stopped shelling, and all the sailors fell to the ground. There were only 3 navy colonels left, struggling to hold on, but they had also lost their combat effectiveness. Ding! Overlord Color Domineering has been promoted to LV3. When the Moonlight stopped, the sound of the system sounded, Overlord Color Domineering, promoted to LV3. At the same time, the total number of navies at the moment is at least, navies, and they are silent and lose their combat effectiveness. there are only more than 40 seagoing ships left, standing quietly on the sea with iron chains across the river. The surroundings were calm, except for the violent vortex around the Mtlnovel, which was rolled up by the shelling. With constant waves, the vortex is getting bigger and spreading, especially a dark cloud is brewing in the sky. It seems that a storm is coming. However, Luffy and the others were silent, staring at this scene in a daze, their faces full of disbelief. That's it? That's an establishment of at least, navies. Not only them, but everyone on the coast was shocked and unimaginable after seeing this scene. Who would have thought that such a menacing navy, determined to win, would be defeated by just one person? If this kind of thing spreads out, no one will believe it. Too exaggerated. At this time, Moonlight returned to the Mary, ignoring the stunned and shocked crowd who looked at him, but raised his head, frowning and looked at the dark clouds that were getting bigger and thicker above. Things don't look good. These sailors are nothing to worry about, but now there are dark clouds. I'm afraid a storm is coming. On the sea, the most feared thing is not any living beings, but this sea. The sea is boundless, it is too easy to destroy a person. Nami, get out of here quickly, I'm afraid a storm is coming. Moonlight quickly looked at Nami. Aha! Hearing this, Nami woke up like a dream, and reacted suddenly. That's right, a storm is coming. Originally, she wanted to use the storm to avoid the Navy's bombardment. Now that the threat of the Navy has disappeared, the most worrying thing next is the storm. This is much more terrifying than the Navy. Usopp, Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, hurry up, act quickly, the vortex has formed, and the storm is coming soon. We are in a bad situation. We must get ahead of all this, or we will be finished, Nami yelled. It is good. Luffy and others also came back to their senses one after another, took a deep look at Moonlight, and immediately started to act. On this boat, if anyone's words convinced them most, it must be Nami. Boom! However, at this moment, a thunderstorm suddenly sounded among the dark clouds in the sky. All of a sudden, violent thunder and lightning descended suddenly, violently crashing into the rough sea. The storm came without warning, the wind was roaring, the sea was roaring, and the Mtlnovel, which was already in deep vortex, suddenly became worse. Oops! Nami couldn't help but her heart sank. The worst situation happened to her. At this moment, no matter how strong her navigation skills are, it is useless in the face of the extremely violent sea. Boom! The strong wind raged, the torrential rain hit, and huge vortices formed one after another on the sea suddenly. Combined with the torrential rain, a huge sea tornado formed around the Mtlnovel immediately. The storm was raging, and the tornado roared sky-shatteringly, sweeping, tearing, and destroying everything on the sea with the billowing majesty of the sky. No, this is a tornado, it's so big. Seeing this, Usopp was the first to shout. Damn it, is it too late? Sanji took a deep breath of smoke rings. It seems extremely bad right now. Okay. Sauron couldn't help being moved. This storm is too exaggerated. In front of it, human power is really not worth mentioning. Is it only abandoned ship? Moonlight sighed. The worst situation has appeared. Now the tornado storm is coming. The only way is to abandon the ship. Look, that's a sea tornado. At the same time, everyone at the port in Rog Town also saw this scene. The power of the tornado storm was too fierce, so violent that everyone had no time to react, and it had already started to wreak havoc. In front of him, the Mtlnovel was like a flat boat, which would capsize at any moment. What a powerful tornado! The Straw Hats are going to die. Bucky couldn't help gloating. Unfortunately, even though they can defeat the naval blockade, they are vulnerable to this tornado. It is the sea that really dominates this sea area, not anyone. That's right, whether it's a navy or a pirate, no matter how powerful you are nothing but an ant in front of the sea. Everyone around shook their heads and sighed. Right now, the Straw Hats are going to die. It's over. Are we really going to abandon ship? The Mtlnovel is moving forward under Nami's navigation skills. Nami is indeed skilled, but the sea is ruthless and the storm is too strong. No matter how strong the navigation skills are, it is useless at this moment. Seeing the tornado storm raging, Usopp couldn't help but despair. Seems like there's no way out. Damn it, is it the end of the road? Sanji also had despair in his eyes. Abandoned ship. Sauron is the most straightforward. Luffy. Nami looked at Luffy. He is the captain, the owner of this ship, and it is up to him to decide. There's no other way, Mary, I'm sorry, we're leaving you. Luffy sat on the bow of the boat, letting the waves of the sea, turbulent, not move at all. He looked at the Mary, with reluctance flashing across his face. They sailed all the way and experienced a lot of wind and rain. How can we be willing to separate now? But there is no other way now. As the captain, he has to take responsibility. Chapter 58 Monkey. d.dragon, you are listening at novelfull.audio. No. How can it be, Mary, it is our important partner. However, at this moment, Usopp hugged the mast tightly and roared, the Mary is of great significance to him. He is an important partner worthy of his life to protect. Usopp. Nami and the others fell silent. Although we got along for a short time, everyone has already recognized Usopp in their hearts. Who would be willing to abandon the ship and flee now? What kind of pirates are pirates without their boats? Luffy. Usopp looked at Luffy, he is the captain, and the fate of the Mary is up to him. Luffy remained silent, looking at the rough sea, clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. For pirates, ships are very important partners. How can you give up? How can? Boom! At this moment, the roar of the sea became more violent, and the tornado storm swept madly, covering the sky, roaring, and wanting to destroy everything. Armed. At this moment, Moonlight suddenly jumped onto the bow of the boat, looking at the overwhelming storm in front of him, which was about to destroy everything. And the Kusanagi sword was wrapped around Kusanagi sword with domineering arms. The Kusanagi sword instantly turned black. Moonlight, don't you think, but it's a tornado. Seeing this, Nami and the others couldn't help being surprised. Looking at Moonlight's posture, they seemed to understand something. I know, but I'm not reconciled to abandoning the ship and fleeing without giving it a try. Moonlight shook her head, looking at the tornado storm in front of her. A blaze of fire flashed in her eyes. He couldn't do it if he was asked to abandon ship. What's more, for a swordsman, everything in the world can be cut. The same goes for tornadoes. If it can't be broken, it means that the strength is not enough. He wants to try it. Usopp, if this is not enough, then there is really no other way. Even if I don't give up, I cherish everyone more. Moonlight looked at Usopp with indifference in his eyes. Moonlight. Usopp gritted his teeth and nodded solemnly. Everyone has tried their best. If they still can't change the ending, it can only be said that they are too weak to protect the Mary. He has no regrets. This is the real swordsman. Sauron nodded, looking at the Moonlight, his eyes were burning. This is his dream of swordsmanship. Phantom sword dance. Moonlight shouted coldly, facing the tornado storm in front of him. He slashed fiercely. All of a sudden, fierce sword chi erupted out, one after another, continuously superimposed, and finally condensed into a ball. The huge sword chi swept towards the tornado storm. The sword energy was mighty and extremely fierce. It burst out in an instant, and slashed fiercely towards the sea. Shook. The vortex around was cut open at once. The sword energy was sharp and fierce, chopping the thorns and cutting the waves, and went towards the tornado storm violently. It's a powerful slash, but can it be successful? All eyes were focused on this sword energy, their faces full of anticipation. However, looking at the fierce tornado storm on the sea, a question can't help but flash in my heart. That's a tornado. No matter how powerful it is, can it cut open a tornado? Buzz. At this moment, the sword energy collided with the tornado storm, and the sword energy was violent. Even in the face of the tornado storm, the momentum remained undiminished. However, after 3 seconds, the tornado storm roared, swallowing up the sword energy all at once. The storm raged and continued to roar. Although the Moonlight is strong, it is insignificant in the face of such a terrifying natural disaster. Did you fail? Usopp made a decision in his heart, with a face of determination. Even Moonlight failed, who else can change the ending? That's it, this is a natural disaster after all. Zoro, Sanji, Nami, Usopp, Moonlight, prepare to retreat. Luffy shouted, at this time, the tornado storm is getting closer, if you don't escape, you will have no chance. Once they are all swept in, who knows what will happen. Sorry, Mary. Moonlight gritted her teeth, the power of human beings was insignificant in front of the power of the sea. If he wants to cut through the tornado, he has to redouble his cultivation, but now, there is no way. Go. Usopp gritted his teeth, his eyes filled with determination, be the first to leave. Although he is reluctant to give up, but now he has reached the point where he has no choice but to give up. Boom. Just when everyone made up their minds to abandon the ship and flee, suddenly, a storm more violent than a tornado appeared. This storm does not spread, but sticks tightly around the Mary, as if being manipulated by someone, tightly wraps the Mary, rises from the sea, and flies up suddenly. Pass through the tornado storm at once, fly into the sky, and disappear into the storm. The storm was raging, and it was extremely terrifying. After losing the trace of the melee, the storm became more violent. In the blink of an eye, the entire surface of the sea was swallowed up. Saved. What happened? What happened? A strange wind suddenly blows over. Okay. At this time, in the sea area several miles away from the tornado storm, the wind was calm and the sun was shining brightly in the sky, with a peaceful appearance. Luffy and the others looked at each other in blank amazement. That's how they escaped. Saved. If he hadn't experienced it himself, who would dare to believe that such a thing happened? Dragon. However, Yueguang quickly realized that the only one with such ability is the dragon. The leader of the Revolutionary Army, Luffy's father, Monkey. D.dragon. The ability user of the wind fruit, has the power to manipulate the wind. Apart from him, there will be no one else who can send them to a safe place with their boats at such a moment. The strength of the dragon is definitely a figure standing at the top of the pirates, otherwise it would be impossible to be the leader of the Revolutionary Army for such a long time and still be very chic. This strength is really terrifying. Moonlight was secretly surprised, probably stronger than the general. He still has a long way to go from this realm. The five of Luffy looked at each other in blank dismay, completely unaware of what happened. Did you get saved just like that? This sea is too amazing. Then Luffy yelled to eat meat, and now Sanji had no choice but to cook. Nami breathed a long sigh of relief. No matter what, she was saved. Mary, that's great. Usopp cheered, and finally there is no need to lose the Mary. Immediately trying to find a way to make up for the broken place. Sauron leaned against the cabin and went straight to sleep. After going through such a big battle, his physical strength has been exhausted a lot, and now he has to make up for it. Rog Town, the commanding heights of the port, a man covered in a brown robe looked at the direction where Luffy and his party disappeared, and murmured. Pirate. It's not bad, if this is your choice, I support it too. Is there any reason that can stop a man from setting sail? Go, the world needs our answers, go and change the world. The wind roared, and at this moment, a bolt of lightning struck down. The sky and the earth were all silvery white, and under the brown robe, a face full of dreams appeared. If someone saw this face, they would recognize him. This person is no small matter. He is indeed the leader of the Revolutionary Army. Monkey. D.dragon. Be an enemy of the world government and offer a reward of 50 billion to the big shot. Almost everyone wants his head. It sure is him. At the same time, on the Mary, Moonlight looked away. Although it was blurry, he saw a figure. Judging from his figure, it was undoubtedly a dragon. Chapter 59 Abies. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Don't worry about Luffy, why don't you come here to take a look? As expected of a person with the ability of Feng fruit, such a storm is really terrifying. It seems that I have to step up my practice, otherwise I will be greatly hindered when I encounter a strong person of this level. Moonlight murmured. The appearance of the dragon made him feel a sense of crisis in his heart. He still needs to be stronger to be able to navigate the sea and protect his companions. Thinking of this, he looked at his attributes. Moonlight, basic swordsmanship, the system will give you no rank. 3-stage cut, the system will give you no grade. Draw the knife and cut LV 550,000/100000000. Raptor severing /LV 190,000/1000000. Phantom sword dance LV 285,000/1000000. Knowledge color domineering LV 450,000/1000000. 0. Armed color domineering LV 430,000/100000000. Overlord color domineering LV 320,000/100000000. The current training situation is not bad. The Overlord color domineering has been cultivated to LV 3, and it can be controlled freely at the beginning, and it will be easy to practice next. Other skills still need to continue to practice. Through this encounter with a tornado storm, he realized his own shortcomings. Only the higher the level of sword skills, can he resist the natural disaster of a tornado storm, and the attack of the dragon made him feel the power of the top powerhouse. If the strength is weak, they will lose their lives in this sea. Of course, domineering training also needs to be strengthened. With the deepening, all kinds of powerful enemies will come one after another, and there are many powerful people among them. If you want to be free and easy, so that your companions will not encounter such dangers, domineering is very important. After thinking about it carefully, Moonlight secretly made up his mind. Leaving Rogue Town, they were already very close to the Great Route. Among the 4 seas, the East China Sea is the weakest. If you enter the Great Route, you will encounter unprecedented enemies. Only when he becomes stronger can he protect his companions from harm and do what he wants to do. Otherwise, there is no need to talk about it. Thinking of this, he held the Kusanagi sword and looked towards the sea. After the storm, everyone obviously became more cautious. Usopp concentrated on repairing the ship, Nami carefully studied navigation, and the change of sea climate made her deeply aware of her own shortcomings. Sanji made every meal with his heart, so that every meal everyone ate was perfect. Sauron was greatly stimulated, and his practice became more and more intense. Luffy was still sitting on the bow of the boat, with a pensive look on his face, not knowing what he was thinking. Thus, the Golden Mary drifted gently on the sea like this. At the same time, hundreds of miles away from the crowd, in a huge warship, a little girl with yellow hair suddenly jumped off the ship while others were not paying attention, jumped into the sea, took advantage of the current, and went far away. Because no one was paying attention, and there was not much movement, it took a long time before someone found out, and they couldn't help being shocked at the moment, and rushed to report. No, Abies is gone. Look, there is a figure moving there, it must be Abies. She jumped into the sea and ran away. Everyone get ready to be on call at any time. Quickly report to Admiral Nelson. Many sailors searched for it one after another. When they saw the figure of a little girl drifting on the sea, they quickly became vigilant and reported immediately. At this time, in the center of the warship, in a luxurious hall, a brightly dressed fat man weighing more than 300 jin was enjoying delicious food. When he heard the report from the people below, he couldn't help frowning. Did she escape? This little girl is really worrying. Come and chase me. At the moment, he is about to issue a pursuit order. He is Admiral Nelson, the middle and high level of the headquarters, and the big man who controls this sea area. Wait. However, at this moment, a man wearing blue and white stripes, who looked like a scythe and had sharp eyes, stepped out and prevented Nelson from making a decision. Eric? It's really rare. You actually took the initiative to prevent me from making a move. Why, do you have any ideas? Nelson looked at the man who came out and asked Hehe. That's right, that little girl is very special. If you don't want your plan to fail, you absolutely don't need to mobilize a large-scale manpower to chase after it. That kind of movement is really too big. Give me a boat and I will go find it alone. The efficiency will definitely be faster, Eric smiled sharply and said. Really? If that's the case, it's as you wish. Nelson nodded, having great trust in Eric, and immediately dispatched the ship to him. Well, I'll bring you back soon, but don't forget our previous agreement. Eric nodded, and after taking a sharp look at Nelson, he stepped onto the fast boat, but he didn't see how he started it. The fast boat sailed rapidly across the sea like a sharp arrow. The speed is extremely fast. Wherever it passes, the surface of the sea is suddenly cut open, as if it has been deeply cut by a sickle. Haha. Hearing this, a chill flashed in Nelson's eyes. Huh. Look, there's someone there. After one night, Luffy and the others finally recovered from their exhaustion, and everyone was alive and well, and the Mary also rested. Brothers, let's go, set off for the great route, Luffy said energetically. Okay, I've had enough rest, let's see what kind of demons and ghosts gather on the great airway, Sauron nodded, full of fighting spirit. Hey, All Blue, I must find you. Sanji also nodded, his face full of longing. I want to finish drawing all the nautical charts in the world and become the best navigator. Nami is also ambitious. I want to be a brave sea warrior. Usopp raised his hand, swearing. I'm going to be the pirate king. The five raised their hands and looked at the moonlight. There are people at sea. However, the moonlight pointed at the sea, said. Hearing this, everyone was startled and glanced over. I saw a little girl floating on the sea, drifting along the current. There are really people. Luffy screamed, stretched his arms, and grabbed it suddenly. Caught the little girl on board. Nothing, just too tired. Nami, who knew a little bit about medical skills, took a look and breathed a sigh of relief. Strange, where did she come from? Did she encounter a pirate? Usopp couldn't help but wonder. Wait until she wakes up and ask, Luffy said. Is this little girl Abies? Moonlight's eyes flashed, looking at the little girl's attire, she probably had an impression in her heart. Where is this place? After a while, Abies woke up slowly, looking at the unfamiliar faces of Luffy and the others in front of her. She was puzzled at first, then moved her gaze upwards, and when she saw the pirate flag hanging high on the mast, she couldn't help jumping up, pale with shock. Ah, this is a pirate ship. I got on a pirate ship, I met a pirate, I'm done, Abies yelled, and the whole person quickly hid. Chapter 60 Eric. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hey, who are you? Why are you floating at sea? At this time, Luffy extended his arms, came to her, and asked. Ah. The arms are extended, monster. Abies couldn't help being shocked. Get back quickly. How can a normal person's arm be stretched? Hey, who are you? Sanji exhaled smoke, looked at Abies who was about to retreat in front of him, and asked. Ah. Curled eyebrows. Abies was startled again and backed away again and again. Curly eyebrows, you can see clearly. Sauron stood with his sword in his arms, looked at Abies who retreated in front of him, glanced at Sanji, and said calmly. Green algae head. Before Sanji got angry, Abies was shocked again when she saw Sauron sitting on the ground and crying. It's over, I met not only pirates, but also a group of monsters, wow. Green algae head. Curly eyebrows. Hearing this nickname, Usopp couldn't help laughing. Using this to describe Sauron and Sanji is really sharp. It just fits them perfectly. To shut up, Sanji and Zoro shouted in unison, and then looked at each other with cold eyes, and a murderous aura emerged from their bodies. Don't worry, although we are pirates, we are also good pirates, it's not what you think. At this time, Nami, the only one on board with a kind face, stepped forward to comfort her. Yes, little girl, we are not bad people. Do you think, if we were bad people, would we still save you? Moonlight also said lightly. You really won't kill me? Probably seeing Nami's sweet face, Abies felt relieved and asked. As Moonlight said, we want to kill you, so why wait until now, just let you drift on the sea. Nami laughed, it looks like a piece of mild sunshine. Abies' heart gradually calmed down, now sighed. I met a big bad guy, my family was killed by them, and I was the only one left. Please, please save me, I will repay you. As she spoke, she looked at Nami expectantly. Big villain. Why did he arrest you? Luffy flew over again at this time and asked, probably because of Nami's presence. Abies' nervousness gradually relaxed. Hearing this, he shook his head. I don't know, I don't want to take revenge anymore, I want to go home, please, send me back. Abies said, and then asked Luffy. Hey Luffy, we've arrived here, and we're not far from the Great Route. This little girl's background is unknown, and she won't even say her name. Besides, she's full of lies and her purpose is unknown. We don't need to care about this matter, or we'll have to make a big circle out of it. Hearing this, Usopp frowned, looked at the sea in front of him and said, he claims to be a liar, how can Abies' lies be hidden from him? But he didn't want to expose it. Right now they are close to the Great Route, and they only need to go one step further, and they will be able to step into the legendary sea. If you help at this time, it will definitely delay for a long time. Usopp is right, it's very annoying for this little girl to give people nicknames casually. Sauron agreed. That's not necessarily the case, I think this nickname suits you quite well. Sanji sneered, Green Algae Head Swordsman, this is really a perfect title. Say it again, believe it or not, I cut off your curly eyebrows. Zoro was furious immediately, and looked at Sanji with a murderous look. I'll kick you away. Sanji refused to give in, and the two began to argue. Luffy. Nami also looked at Luffy. Although she didn't speak, the meaning was obvious. There was no need for them to waste time here. We just met by chance. It's enough to save your life, so why help you? They are pirates, not navy. Is that so? Hearing this, Abies was immediately disappointed. In this sea, being rescued by pirates is enough to save your life. If you ask for help, how could anyone agree? What's more, they are pirates. Hey, what's your name? But at this moment, Luffy looked at Abies and asked. Abies. Abies said in frustration, she has given up hope. Abies, hello, we are friends now, since my friend has something to do, I will naturally help you. Everyone, turn around. Oh, where is your home? At this moment, I saw Luffy laughing loudly, looking at Abies with a bright smile. Ah! Luffy, is this true? Hearing this, a ray of sunshine shone into Abies' disappointed heart, and Luffy's smile greatly increased her favor, and she was pleasantly surprised at the moment. Of course. Luffy patted his chest and said to Nami, Usopp and others. Hey, Luffy, are you serious? Usopp couldn't help being surprised. Why did Luffy help her? Well, you are the captain and have the right to decide the course of the ship. Nami froze for a moment, then smiled. Cut. Sanji and Zoro were still fighting non-stop, and after hearing what Luffy said, they cut their mouths and continued to fight. It's like you're in charge, they just care about fighting, it doesn't matter. Moonlight. Luffy looked at Moonlight and laughed. I have no objection, everything is under the captain's arrangement, but we are afraid that it is impossible for us to stay out of it, because the trouble has already come. The Moonlight said faintly, but looked at the sea. I saw a man with a sickle head, standing on a small boat, riding the wind and waves, coming like an arrow. Huh? Enemy. Luffy immediately came to the bow and looked at the sea. So fast, who is it? Sauron and the others also looked over, but when Abies looked at the man, her complexion changed drastically, and she even hid behind Nami in horror. What happened? Nami couldn't help asking, however, Abies just hid, her body trembling constantly, obviously terrified. Pirates. They are still the famous Straw Hat Gang, but you are here. While everyone was looking over, the sickle-headed man also saw everyone. He first glanced at the pirate flag on the Mary, and then locked his eyes on Abies who was behind Nami. Stop. Seeing this, Moonlight made a bold move. Draw the knife and cut. Buzz. A crescent-like sword aura, with the Moonlight as the center, fanned out in all directions. The sword energy was sharp and extremely fast, and when the sword was struck, the surrounding air was stirred up. Seeing this, the man with the scythe was taken aback. Without even thinking about it, he subconsciously flew to dodge. Shoot! The sword chi brushed past him, and suddenly slashed at the sea behind him. The waves of the sea seemed to be slashed by someone, and a sword mark several meters deep was deeply imprinted in the sea. Fortunately, Moonlight did not seek to kill, otherwise this sword would be enough to kill him. Hiss! There is such a master. The man with the sickle head suddenly took a deep breath, rolled in the air, and returned to the boat. Who are you? Luffy asked.